Hey, Kerry. Hey, Kamille. Welcome to the His and Her Money Show.
Hey guys.
Hello,
Hi.
thanks for having us.
Man, we're glad to have you guys because, man, we've been here for the journey for you two.
So
and
excited.
The time has come and you all are now debt free. So we can't wait to hear all the details of your journey. But before we do that, can you just take a moment and say hey to everybody that's listening and let them know what you're all about?
Hi, I'm Kamille Hutchinson,
And I'm Kerry Hutchinson.
and we live in Southwest Michigan. We have been here for 4.5 years now, originally from the East Coast, from New Jersey, and we have enjoyed our time here.
Awesome. So let's talk about the debt. You guys had a lot of debt, right? That you guys have successfully paid off. So tell our audience a little bit about the debt. How much was it? What type of debt was it? And how long did it take you guys to pay it off?
Sure.
You can start that out.
Okay, so we had a little bit over $111,000 in debt. Just a little bit over. And it was mainly student loans. And then we had credit cards and one cell phone that we had been paying monthly on, and we paid that off. So it was about 97,000 in student loans, about 14 in the credit cards and cell phone.
Yep.
Nice. So does everybody else. Everybody else has student loans. Everybody else has credit card debt. What was it that led you all to go down this path to financial freedom in the first place? Because a lot of people, they're okay with making minimum payments. It's just a part of life. Everybody has student loans. Everybody has credit card debt. But you all made a decision at some point to say that we don't want this to be our story. What led up to that point to make you all even consider becoming debt free in the first place?
And how long did it take you guys to pay it off?
21 months.
21 months.
Yeah. I guess I'll start with my side of the story. I was a couple of months away from graduating from school, actually. And we went on a huge just graduation trip, as we called it. Thought we deserved a trip. It's a long journey. It's time to take a break, a vacation. And my personality, I was very content. I wasn't someone who spent a lot of money, but I wasn't someone who actively made good decisions with my money. So I was content with being average. And we went on this big trip. We spent money, and as a couple, I didn't even ask questions at the time. I didn't ask how much the trip was. I just wanted to just enjoy the trip. And coming back from that trip and just thinking about, hey, I'm about to graduate school. We don't necessarily have a plan in place. My wife is working. I'm not working yet. And just started to think about the debt that we have. And it's just something that came to my mind, and I kind of brushed it off. And then later on, my wife came to me, and I don't know if she knew I was thinking about it. She came and she asked me a question like, hey, do you want to go to a Financial Peace University class? And I was like, sure, let's go. And we went to the class, and when we actually mapped out how much debt we have and we looked at everything, we were like, there's no reason for this. We can do this. We can do this. And that's when we just sat down and made a decision.
So my side, so as he said, we went on a huge trip for his graduation. So growing up, we always traveled. We did a lot of things in my family. And so I was used to traveling, not recognizing that just because your parents were able to do it doesn't mean they did it the right way. And then you pick up those habits unintentionally. So we went on this 11-night cruise to the Caribbean. And I planned it intentionally to be able to stop in Grenada, where he was born. He hadn't been there since he left when he was 4. And so I was like, this is the perfect place to go so he can actually see his home. And I planned spas on the cruise. We did all the excursions that they have, and it was a lot of money. And in my head, I'm like, well, I can pay it off over months because I have a job. So you just do your monthly payment and pay a little more and you pay it off. But then as we were coming back from the cruise, I realized that it wasn't just this cruise that was on the credit card. There were other things that had been sitting there. And I said, every year I tell myself, we're going to get out of credit card debt. and I get out of it, and then every year I'm back in it. And I don't want this cycle to go on anymore, because the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over, expecting different results, and the results were never different. So when we landed in Chicago to drive back home, I said, God, I don't know how, but I need to get out of debt. I need to pay off this credit card. I wasn't even thinking about student loans at the time. I said, I need to get out of this credit card debt because I don't want to be in credit card debt anymore. And we drove the 2.5 hours back home. And as we pulled into our little town, there was a huge banner in front of a church that said Financial Peace University. And that was at like 2 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah.
And I said, okay, God, I hear you loud and clear. And so then I went to Kerry and I said, would you like to go to Financial Peace University? I think we should do this class. And that's how the journey started.
Wow. As you guys were talking, it was like chills came over my body, because it sounded like that you guys, when you all made the decision, like you said, God just gave you the answer right then and there. That's amazing. So that's very unusual for both parties to be on the same board at the same exact time. It sounds like that you both were kind of like fed up and like, look, we enjoyed ourselves on this trip, but you all actually thought about the credit card debt after the trip, and so just for you all to change your lives around that moment, that's a very defining moment. That's amazing. That's amazing. So what would you say was the mindset that you guys had to put yourself in order to really accomplish this? Because you all did this in 21 months? That's remarkable. Like, you had to put yourself in a mindset to kind of stay focused. So talk to us a little bit about that.
Well, it was really just discipline. We had to check each other. We had to hold each other accountable. We actually had to get accountability partners outside of our relationship. So we were disciplined. Every month, we met together. We're like, hey, this is how far we've gotten. This is how much we have to go. We had charts. We had Excel sheets. And we just were in the mindset like, hey, we have to get this done. Originally, our plan was based on 3 years out. And then I got a job, and it got pushed forward. And so as we were going, we realized the harder we work, the more doors open for us. I got a promotion. My wife got a promotion. So it just kept fueling that energy, just kept building on it. Just the snowball kept building. And it was truly just discipline and hard work. That's all I can think of when you say a mindset.
It was a lot of discipline, as well as just realizing you didn't need everything.
Mhm.
We recognized what the necessities were. We needed to make sure we had food, a place over our heads, that we were able to get to and from work, could pay for gas, because at the time, as he said, he wasn't working. I was working full time, but I'm also in school part time. So I was in school and working. And so the first 7 months of this journey, it was just one income. And so we said, what are the main necessities? Everything else has got to go.
Yeah.
And so we just cut them all out, and we realized that we had enough with just the necessities. We didn't need all the extra. And once we recognized that and became content, the rest of the journey was pretty easy.
Kerry, you said something interesting earlier. You said that I was content with being average. I think that's a trap that a lot of people find themselves in. How did you recognize that you were in that place, and how did you break free from it?
Well, when I looked at my overall money habits, I realized that I never was someone who got into a lot of debt, but outside of my school loans, wasn't someone who spent a lot of money. And as I look back on where I was, I realized I was not doing anything actively to either build wealth or to pay off that debt. I was just content with just going along and saying, hey, 20 years from now, 30 years from now, this is going to happen. This is going to be in my 401k, and I'm going to pay it off. Just making assumptions. And that's really, when you're content, you're making assumptions that this is going to happen this year, or this is going to happen 5 years ago. So I will always make an assumption. And I believe really, when I was able to look at the facts, when I able to just look at the actual numbers, that helped me to change my mindset and say, hey, I have this plan that, hey, it's going to pay off in 20 years, but look, in 20 years, it's 100,000, but I paid them about 180,000 when I had interest onto that. 1 year from now, emergency can happen, and my whole plan for paying off something probably won't happen exactly as I wanted to plan. And it kind of gave me the mindset like, hey, right now is the best time to do what you have to do. I don't have to wait 20 years from now and hope and be average. We're capable right now to reach this goal.
I love it. I love it.
Love that.
Another thing that I was curious about was you all said that discipline was a big part of you all being able to accomplish this. And one of the things that you all did to strengthen your discipline was you had accountability outside of your marriage. Talk to us about how you guys came up with that strategy. How did you guys pick whoever it was that was going to be an outside additional support to you all? And how did it go?
So, in the class that we attended, they talked a lot about having accountability partners and the importance of having someone outside of your regular circle checking in on you, because you're more apt to be forthright with someone that you don't have the relationship with, because you feel like you can sugarcoat things with people that you're comfortable with. And so we actually just prayed about who can we talk to about this. And so we shared with one of our friends that had just recently graduated from school, and they would just check in with us. And that encouraged us. And we continued to share that we were on this journey with other people. And the more people we shared it with, the more excited they got for us. And it ended up being, now at this point, I think we have 6 or 7 couples that are also on their debt-free journeys. And so we're all keeping each other accountable. We're the first couple, I think, that has completed it. And it's even more motivation for our friends as well. And my uncle, I shared with him maybe 7 or 8 months ago that we were doing this. And he shared that he had gone through FPU as well at his church. And out of all the couples that had gone through it, he and his wife were the only ones that stuck it out. And they became debt free. And so we set up monthly calls with him, and he would check in. And his excitement for every bill that we paid off got us so motivated and so excited that we were like, how can we continue to push and cut things out? And so any and everything that we could cut out, we did. As well as saying no to friends like, hey, you want to go out to eat? How about you come over to our place and hang out? Why don't we go to the park and play some games where we don't have to spend money? So we just kept thinking about ways to cut things out as we got more and more encouragement from our accountability partners.
Yeah, man, I just think that's huge because nobody sets out on the journey to debt freedom with other people in mind. But it was just a byproduct of you guys, getting fed up and wanting to change your life, that the impact as you all went along the journey was that not only did you guys change your lives, but you began to, like Ty said, you guys began to have an affection. It affected other people around you to say, you know what I mean? If Kerry and Kamille could do it, maybe we should give this a shot too. So I just think that that's something that people should keep in mind, that you have the ability to not only to change your life, not only the life of your children, but people just in your circle they have to pay attention when you start doing this.
Love that.
It is. I read somewhere they said that your debt-free journey isn't about you. It's about showing other people that it's a possibility. And I have realized in us being on that journey that other people realize, like, oh my gosh, I can do this. I can get out of this debt. I don't have to be in debt forever. And it's motivated them. And I hadn't thought about it that way. But the more people we tell now, like, yeah, we're debt free, it doesn't stop here. There's still more to do. But get out of debt first so that you can be free and that you're not a slave to a lender.
Yeah, and we're going to talk about some of the practical strategies that you guys put into place right after this commercial break. So, Kerry and Kamille, before we went to commercial break, you were telling us, sharing with us how impactful your journey has been to even the people around you, family and friends. So help everybody that's listening to you right now and learning about your journey. Talk to them about some of the strategies that you all put into place that allowed you to, 106 figures worth of debt in 21 months is amazing. So there had to be some strategizing that you all had to do. So are there any tips or strategies that you can share with those who are trying to follow in your footsteps?
Well, a couple of things that I like to call it making the budget come to life. We forced ourselves I want to say into a very tight position. Not that that's the best way to do it, but we specifically, once the money hit our account, we told the money where to go right away. So we took out the cash that we need. We had all the automatic transfers that needed to happen to pay everything at the beginning of the month. So some specific things we did. We moved all of our pay dates mostly towards the beginning of the month because that's closer to our when we got paid. So it kind of put us in a position like, hey, the money's out of the account. You can't. You have to. The money's already gone. You can't just play around now. So we moved our pay dates forward for a lot of our bills towards the beginning of the month. So that was very helpful. Of course, we had our monthly budget meeting every month, and as you go through the journey, you realize you don't know your budget the first or second month. It's a skill that you build. It's a muscle. So every month we got better at the budget. Another thing we did, we call it our food pantry shopping. So when we really wanted to cut down, we wouldn't buy. We would see what's in the pantry. We're gonna see and just clean out this pantry, cook these lentils, whatever's there. We're gonna cook it and we're gonna finish it out before we buy something else. So those are some of the things. Can we have some other things?
No, the monthly budget was huge. I created an Excel spreadsheet that was automatic. So we'd put in how much we got paid, and then it would subtract out all the bills that we had. I think, in addition to moving our pay dates up and taking out cash, once the pay dates were listed in our spreadsheet and we took out the cash, every single bit of money that we had left, we threw at our debt. So there was no room for error for us. So when people were like, "Oh, you can spare $5," we don't have $5. All the money is gone towards our debt. So at the beginning of the month, when all our bills are paid and we took out the cash for groceries, for gas, and for tithe and offering, every bit of like it was zero base. Like we knew if anything was different in a payment, we'd go into overdraft. So we were very, very careful and meticulous with our budget to make sure that, hey, this month we're throwing $5,000 at it. That means that anybody that wants to do anything, your team at work that wants to go to lunch, you got to tell them no because there's no money. We knew we wanted to get out of debt quickly. And so we did everything possible to do that, including snowballing, throwing everything out at the beginning of the month and making sure that we knew what bills are going to get paid and how much.
Yeah, and we also planned our celebrations. So I mean, we had different landmarks, different marks that we wanted to reach. So we planned, hey, we're gonna go out to eat on this day. We're gonna go do something. We didn't want to just go crazy. So we planned those events that kind of kept us going, kept the energy going. You look forward to that. So that's one thing that really helped push us through when we may feel like maybe some budget fatigue. We celebrated and we moved on.
The Sunday Night Sit Down is being brought to you by our friends at Policy Genius. That's your go to stop to meet all of your insurance needs because they have a totally free tool on their website where all you have to do is put in your information and you will get instant quotes from multiple reputable insurance providers so that you can make the best decision possible when it comes time to purchase insurance. To find out more details, all you have to do is go to hisandhermoney.com/policygenius.
So were there any obstacles that you guys had to overcome while you all were knocking out this debt?
I guess right in the beginning when we made the decision, our car went down. It was down.
Our engine died.
Yeah, our engine died, and it's interesting because about 5 months before we had just replaced the transmission, and now our engine is completely shot. It's done, and at that point we had to make a decision. We were thinking either buying not a brand new car but a used car within a certain price range or fixing our engine, and we went back and forth on that. And at that time I almost considered like, man, I need a newer car, I need something that's reliable, and all these thoughts come to your head like, hey, you need something that's not going to break down on you. And I'm thankful we had friends who allowed us to borrow their car for a couple of weeks, and we made that decision to actually put a new engine in the car rather than buy a more expensive used car. It was a Corolla. We're like, if you put the engine, it should last. And since we put the engine in, that was at the very beginning, maybe a few weeks into the debt-free journey that we were on. And we made that decision like, hey, we're not going to spend any extra money beyond that. We used our emergency fund. We put a whole new engine in it. It was over 30. It was around 3,000, a little over 3,000. We put that whole engine in there, and it carried us through this whole time, still going strong. So that was one thing that popped up during the journey at the very beginning.
I would say the other one was one of our friends was getting married, and they were getting married in Houston. And that was, I was like, okay, so we're not going to go because we're in this journey. We're focused. We're going to get out of debt and we're not going to go. And Kerry wanted to go really badly. And I was like, we can just send them a gift. We don't have to fly out there to go to the wedding. Like, I was so laser focused on this journey. Like, they'll understand it's expensive to go to weddings. We'll stay here. And he was like, no, Kamille, I really want to go. And so I said, okay, if we're going to go, we have to find the cheapest place to stay. And I said, we're going to pray on it. I said, if tickets go above $300 for the both of us, we're not going. And so we watched and tickets were over 300. I was like, oh, I guess we're not going to go. Yeah. And then one day the tickets dropped below 300. And I said, okay, we're going to pay cash for it. We found an Airbnb. We had a couple, friend of ours.
Yeah, we shared the Airbnb.
Share an Airbnb with us. And so the entire trip of getting a rental car, staying at the Airbnb, our flights, and a gift, everything was under $500. And so we set that goal. And I said, if it goes above that, we're not going because we have to be serious about this journey. I don't want to be paying debt forever. So those were the two main obstacles that we had in the journey.
Man, I think those two obstacles are great examples because either one of them could have sent you back to the place that you all once were financially.
So true.
And both of them, you could have found justification for upgrading your car, your friend getting married. Talk about, you all said that there was a lot of conversation, there was a lot of back and forth before you all came to your ultimate final decision. So what's your advice for someone who's in the fight, trying to get out of debt, situations like this come up? How did you guys, come to common ground? Because, like you said, you all had two different viewpoints in these situations. You were going back and forth. Should we get a new car? Should we get a new engine? Should we go to Houston? Should we not go to Houston? So that's a lot of talking and a lot of strategizing that you all had to do. And some people don't have those tools in their toolbox right now. What's your advice to them?
The first thing I would say is take the time you need. A lot of times in a big decision comes up, you feel pressured and feel like you don't have the time. And with the car, we initially thought we didn't have the time. But really, we took a step back and we took the time we needed. We asked friends for help. And taking that extra time, because there's no decision that really is right now. You have to make a decision. I need this car right now. So we took the time, and that allowed us to really think clearly, to see all the different options, and to go to different resources. So I think using the time that you have, never feel like, hey, I have to make this decision today. I mean, if it's not life or death, use all the time that you have, because oftentimes the more time that you have, you'll be able to get more resources, have a better understanding of the situation. I think that definitely helped us with the car, especially because we didn't rush into getting a bigger car or a better car. We used the time that we had, and we came to a better decision.
I would say something else is prayer. We prayed and prayed and prayed a lot through this entire journey, but those two particular situations, we prayed and we both agreed if we weren't 100% on board together, we wouldn't do it. Like, both of us had to be in it 100% and say, yes, we're going to do this together. We're going to agree. We're not going to complain. If we say we're both in it, then that's the decision we made. And it's not, oh, we should have done this or we should have done that. We're both together. We both agree. And we're in it 100%.
Okay, guys. So talk us through that moment when you guys paid off your very last debt payment.
You want to start?
You can go first.
Okay. So that last moment was, I think the last 2 months or so, we kept saying it feels so surreal to be at that point where it's like, oh my gosh, we have one payment left. We have one payment left. And the night before, we were like, tomorrow we're going to be debt free. Like, it's really here. Like, the date is here. We're going to be debt free tomorrow. And so we woke up. It was like 6 o'clock in the morning. And I grabbed my laptop from the living room and I brought it into our bedroom. And I was like, all right, hun, This is the last payment. We're going to pay off the last bit of our debt. And so we opened up Navient, we put in the amount, we clicked pay, and we sat in the bed and we literally just looked at each other. And I was just like, because it's 6 o'clock in the morning, you can't scream because your neighbor is next door in your apartment. So I was just like, and so that was the reaction that morning, because I was like, we can't scream. And I was like, it doesn't feel like it's real. Like, I feel like something else is going to happen. And that was, for me, that was the moment where I was like, wow, like a whole weight just dropped off me. And I was like, we don't have to pay anybody anything anymore ever again.
And I mean, we were really just waiting. We were in anticipation. And as Kamille said, she said it's so surreal. I used to always tell her it's so real. I used to always tell her it's going to happen. And so when we woke up that morning, we actually took the next day off too. We took the Friday off. We're like, we're going to take a day off to celebrate afterwards. But we clicked that pay now, and it doesn't process right away. I wish it would, but honestly, I went through that whole day. I worked that day, and I just had a smile. I felt so light. I was smiling for no reason. It was just really pure joy, knowing that everything that we've worked towards, we've completed, and it just gave us encouragement, because we already were planning our next steps of what we wanted to do. It was like, hey, we did this. What's next? We're gonna do that too. Whatever's coming up next, we got this far. We're gonna conquer whatever comes up next.
I can like feel your joy, both of you guys, when you were talking. Like I can feel that moment. That's amazing. So tell us, how did it feel the next month when you did not have to pay anybody?
So this month, it has been great. We planned a couple of things, because throughout this journey, and I think a lot of people realize it, when you get disciplined and focused about your finances, unintentionally, you get disciplined and focused about other things. And so we, at the beginning of this year, said that we would try to be as close to plant-based as possible. So we cut a lot of meat, dairy, eggs, all of that out of our diet. And we focused on our health as well. And so throughout this year, I've lost 45 pounds. And so one of the things that I wanted to do was buy some clothes. And I hadn't bought any clothes the entire journey. So for the last 21 months, I haven't bought a single thing to wear. And so when we became debt free, and then this month I said, I want to get some clothes that actually fit. Because by that point, all of my clothes just looked like big paper bags on me. They were hanging off me. And people noticed, and they were like, are you okay? I'm like, I'm not sick. I just lost weight. So I wanted to make sure that I got some clothes for work. So when we paid off the debt, we knew the next day we were going to go and buy me some clothes that fit. And that I could wear to work. So that was one of the things that I looked forward to, knowing that we had budgeted for it. And I think that's one of the things that we thought about was, even though we're debt free, it's still important to budget. It's still important to have your budget meetings, have your spreadsheets. And so we knew we'd buy clothes. We knew we needed to get some tickets for his sister's wedding. That's in January. We knew we needed a hotel room. We needed a rental car. And so even though we're debt free and we're like, oh, we have money to spend, we're still trying to find deals. So I was able to find a rental car for $29 for the weekend. And we were able to find a cheap hotel room. And we went shopping, and we went to the outlets, and we used coupons, and we got it for cheaper than it was on sale. And so being able to purchase things wisely, I think, has been a joy this month so far, and being debt free.
Yeah, and this initial month, just getting a paycheck and not having to think about it's going to go towards this loan, it's going to go towards that. It truly is freedom and flexibility, and we're really starting to envision what we can do in the future. And it's something that when you're in debt and you kind of have this picture in your head of where you want to be, but this debt is holding you back. And when these paychecks coming in, it's like, hey, this is just this is our money. We're gonna do what we have to do. We're gonna put it in savings. We're gonna invest it. But it truly is just a position where you just feel free and you're empowered to do whatever you want with your own money.
Man, that is incredible. So, what's next? You guys did this thing, this big old thing, and paying off 6 figures worth of debt in 21 months. So, you guys pretty much have shown yourself like you all got what it takes to accomplish some big goals. So, what are the next set of goals that you all are setting for yourself?
There's a lot going on. So we've already done a couple of classes at our church on finances, and so we just actually finished a class about 2 weeks ago, and we are going to really start spreading just this thirst of being just debt free and living whatever God has purposed in your life to everyone that we know. We started up. Camille has the Instagram page. We're putting up a website, thehutchlife.com. And we're really going to just spread this knowledge to our friends and family and to everyone that we can. So we're going to be doing a couple of sessions at our own church and one of our friends' churches too, hopefully. And we are going to just spread all that we can. I'm currently in school too. I'm doing my MBA again. So I finished last year and I'm back at school again. Camille is also in school. She's graduating in May. So that's another thing on hand. But we already got the emergency fund going. Gonna have a lot. Gonna talk to a lot of our friends about investments. But that's a couple of things that we have in our minds going forward.
Yeah, so we'll be doing our 401ks again starting in January, which is exciting because we work for the same company and they match the first 5% and then throw in an additional 3% on top. So it'll be nice to So it'll be nice to know we're contributing 5%, but we're getting a total of 13. And then we'll start Roth IRAs. We're looking to open some mutual funds and index funds. And one of the things that my uncle recommended, which we're looking into now, is he said, you guys truly sacrificed for the last 21 months, so you need to celebrate. So he recommended, and we agreed, he said, take 1 month's pay and do something big. And so our plan is to go to Barcelona for our anniversary in July. So we're looking into the best places to stay, good flights, best deals, things to do, things to see. So I'm looking forward to that because outside of that wedding in Houston, we haven't traveled. So it'll be nice to start traveling again and knowing that we're not bringing any debt back home when we travel.
You paid off so much debt. You worked extremely hard. You said no a lot. Now it's time to treat yourself and do it big. I love that. Oh my gosh, I love that. So that brings me to my next question. What was the response like from your family and friends when you guys told them, oh my gosh, you're debt free? I'm assuming you all shared it on Facebook because you guys also shared in our private group, Smart Money Couples. If you guys are not a part of our group, it's totally free. Just go to smartmoneycouples.com. But you guys posted there and so many people showed you all so much love. So what was the response like from your family and friends?
Well, I had a few friends text me, Facebook message me, and they're like, "Is this real? How'd you do this?" No. Tell me how. Tell me how. That was the initial response. Like I literally got voice messages, got Facebook messages. How? And I started sharing whatever I could with them. But a lot of people were surprised. A lot of people who knew we were on this journey, they were just so happy for us, and it inspired them also. So a couple of the other couples that were encouraging, they're like, "Yeah, we know we can do it now. You've made it," and they were just happy to see that we've completed this journey. So there's a lot of people who are just surprised, want to know how. Hey, how can we do that? But it was encouraging to see the amount of people who were encouraged by what we did.
Are there any books or anything that you all would recommend as good tools and resources that people should check out to help them stay motivated on their own journeys or to become educated along the way? It doesn't have to necessarily be about money only, but whatever books or resources you want to throw out, let them know.
So there are a couple books. The Richest Man in Babylon is a wonderful book that just talks about being responsible with money and pointing out that you don't need to have a lot of money to start saving money, to start being wise with money, and to start making your money grow for you. Another book is The Total Money Makeover by Dave Ramsey. Everybody knows that book. And then honestly, the book of Proverbs has a wealth of knowledge when it comes to money, when it comes to being smart with wealth, when it comes to just understanding the importance of it's not yours. Your money isn't yours. You're here to use it wisely. And when you recognize that you're blessed on a continuous basis with a job and with finances, and that you should be using it not just for yourself to help others, Proverbs points that out, and it shows the blessing of giving. There's so much joy in giving. So I would recommend those 3 books.
Yeah, I think another book, actually, this is a book I recently read on change. I have to remember the name of the book, but it's basically telling you how to deal with change. And I think a lot of people struggle, especially in regards to finances. A lot of decisions you have to make deal with making changes to the way you look at it. And I mean, there's this whole premise of being flexible in your mind and understanding that change is going to come no matter what. And especially important with your finances, that you're able to change and be able to maneuver whatever financial decisions come up. And I think that was a really good book for me.
So to the people that may be listening right now, they're encouraged, inspired by your story, but maybe they feel a little hopeless. They feel like, okay, do I really have what it takes? I don't really make a lot of money. I don't really have the support from family and friends. What would you say to them to encourage them?
It's not about the amount of money that it's about what you do with the money that you make. And so I would say the first step is just to take a step. When you look at babies, they're born and they can't walk, and they crawl and they practice and they practice and they practice, and then they learn how to stand. And then they take that first step and then they learn how to walk. It's the same way with this journey. You don't just fall into debt. It takes time to get into debt, and it's going to take time to get out of it. So be patient, take that first step, seek help. Google, YouTube, hisandhermoney.com, Smart Money Couples on Facebook, follow them on Instagram. The community is there to support you. And so don't ever feel like you're doing it alone. There is always somebody out there that is more than willing to help you. The Debt-Free Family is there for folks that recognize that they want to make a change, and that support is there. Find a local church that's teaching something on finances. Build community. Don't try and go it alone. That's what I would share with folks.
Yeah, and I kind of echo what Kamille says. And I said this in our actual Facebook post when we were finally debt free. I was asking people, what are you going to do today? And I mean, this journey is a long-term journey, but it's a decision that you make every day. And you're empowered to make a decision today to really change your life. So you can make a decision to not spend the money today or use it somewhere fruitful. You're able to make a change today. You don't have to. It's not don't worry about the long-term will work out based on what you do daily. And that's something we emphasize to our friends and family, that you have this great opportunity to make today the greatest day. And for us, at the center of everything was God, and He. I think there's just the power of prayer, the power of not. You may not have all the answers, and we didn't have all the answers, but knowing that all things work out for those who love the Lord, and we're just so thankful that we can share this journey. And we just hope that everyone stay encouraged. You can do it. We did it, and you can and will do it also.
Awesome. Tell everybody again about your website and where they can follow you on social media.
So on Instagram, it's The Hutch Life, TheHutch Life, LIFE. And we have a blog that we're working on called thehutchlife.com.
Awesome. This has been super incredible. You guys' journey to debt freedom has inspired many, and we're so glad that you all were able to take some time out of your busy schedule to share it with our audience today. Thank you.
Thank you guys so much.
Thank you.